Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, are my good friends, Hunter and Kyle. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Hiya.
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
I don't know how to start this episode, to be honest, because obviously we're in the middle of Key 3, right? We're in the middle of nothing happening and everything happening, and the Xbox show's gonna happen. We don't know even if the Xbox show is going to kill this episode out of oblivion, and we have to quickly convene, and we don't know what's happening, right? And some stuff's also been happening. Sorry for the swear, YouTube. Please allow it this once. It's just been a really weekend, and it's like, yeah. I know that a lot of our listeners are into the same stuff that we are, and are into the same circles, are into the same stuff, whether it's music, whether it's video games, whether it's people that are working on those, whether it's developers, whether it's voice actors. And so I know that probably everybody that's listening, or at least a high percentage of you guys, have probably had a bit of a shit weekend. And I know that this episode might not be the best episode to listen to, all things considering, because it's a bit of a thing. But we had this planned, and we're going to go through with it, and it might get a bit deep. And it might get a bit, melancholy, but just know that we're all feeling it. And if you are feeling a bit down, then it's all good. And yeah, it's a bit terrible. And if you don't know what we're on about, and you're like, why is he even being so fucking moody at the start of the podcast? A great voice actor called Willie Kometz passed away literally a couple of days ago. And for those of you who don't know, he played Ferdinand von Aegir in Fire Emblem. He played Dr. Maruki in Persona 5 Royal. And I know for the fact that we've talked nothing but like the absolute best about him if ever since we started this podcast, right? I feel like you can go back to the spoiler cast like 2 years ago and listen to me and Jacob absolutely gush about him and his performance and just how much he meant to it. Don't worry, I'll edit that out in a post, Hunter, don't worry. Okay. But yeah, it's a really terrible thing to happen, and I feel like we're going to bring it up. And so I was like, I wanted to get it out of the way now, because it's like, I know that if I don't bring it up now, it's going to loom over us all, and I know we want to talk about it. So, but yeah, thoughts and prayers go to her, because it's a really awful situation. I'm going to try not to cry. So someone else want to take the reins for a second?
Dude, it sucks. Yeah, so the topic this week is emotional video game moments. This was submitted by a person from email. I don't remember.
It was Victor on the email. So
yes,
thank
you, Victor.
And I'm so sorry that one, it took so long for us to get to your topic, and two, that it came at this time. Like I say, this has literally been planned for weeks, and it's like I just want everyone to know flat out, this is not for literally like 100 of you guys listen every week, right? You know we're not clickbait merchants. You know we're not doing stuff for clicks, and we're not.
No,
but it's like
doing it for clout.
We're not doing it for clout because, frankly, we know that every single one of you that listen to it know who we are, and you know that this is probably going to reach us. And it's, it genuinely does suck. Like, I forgot to come to the recording session on time because I was completely thrown off by it. And it's like, it is just a really tragic situation. But if you're feeling down, if you're feeling, still a bit terrible, because especially if you're a fan of Maruki, especially in that performance, probably hit you quite a lot. And it's just he was a great person. It was way too soon, and I know people say that about literally everyone who dies, but like seriously, like far too soon. He was far too talented, and I feel like he was at the start, right? I feel like he hadn't even got to be where he deserved to be, and it's really terrible for everybody involved, whether it's his friends, family, loved ones, everybody. It's just a really terrible situation. So hey, if you're not feeling great, that's cool. Come back to this later, hey? You take a break, do whatever you need to do, because this was already going to be a deep episode, and it might get a bit deeper from that. But hey, regardless of that, I hope you're all doing well, and yeah, let's try and have a fun time. It's not going to be all doom and gloom, I promise. We'll try and cheer up and then talk about sad times. But yeah, I really felt like we needed to bring it up at the start. I didn't warn Kyle Hunter I was doing that, but
I figured you might.
Yeah.
So
you guys know me. I feel like we didn't need to plan it or come up with anything. But yeah, hope you're all doing all right, and yeah, with that, let's just get into the show and try to have a good time talking about really sad moments in video games, or emotional moments, should I say, in video games. But yeah, I'm not really going to do a spiel. We're here every Monday at 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern. Really bad for time to have a burp there, but I think I got through it, guys. I think I got through it. And yeah, we're coming to you live every week, and you can keep up to date with everything on Twitter at Hot Games Only if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing and all that extra good stuff. Let's just get into it. Yeah, I don't know how to segue it possibly. If you want me to enlighten the mood even more, then I just want to remember those of you from last week who know we did stupid bets. I just want you to know that yes, I am in the middle of counting all of those damn Fall Guys beans. So wish me luck with that one. God. There's literally hundreds of the fuckers.
Does that other trailer you posted in our chat count?
Yes, because the event that it was a part of was part of Summer Game Fest, so it counted. I'm so sad that it did, because there's literally thousands of them. It's an arena full of jelly beans that I have to count, and it's over 20. I was like, should I just call it a day? But yeah, I think it's definitely over 20. But yeah, so there you go. If you're feeling down, just picture Ethan going frame by frame through that video, going 1, 2, 3.
Having to look over at his reference of his little spreadsheet of all the beans that already exist. Like,
Enhanced? No, that one was released in July of 2021. That doesn't count, you silly bean.
1 bean, 2 bean, red bean, blue bean.
True. But anyway, as we mentioned, this topic was brought to us by Victor over on the emails. And hey, if you have any ideas, any podcast topics that you would like to have us take a crack at, we'd love to hear them, because please, we always get desperate when it comes to podcast ideas. Yeah. You can email us at hotgamersonly@gmail.com. That is hotgamersonly@gmail.com. You can leave us any feedback, any questions, any comments, whatever you would like to say. We're all yours. But yeah, anyway, that's what he said. I was going to read the email, but I can't find it. Which is typical for me. I'm not prepared in the slightest. Oh yeah, here it is. Hi guys. The other day I was listening to the podcast where they talked about the topic that really interested me, and I curied about what your take would be on this matter. I don't know if you ever talked about it before, but it'd be games that made you really emotional or games that made you cry. So basically, games that had an emotional effect on us is the podcast topic for this week. And I'm going to throw it over to you, Hunter, first, as I always do, because you are the most prepared out of all of us. So, you've probably got a good one to get us started with.
All right.
No pressure.
So, I'm going to start off with, this is an interesting one because it incited a feeling of frustration, but in a way that was absolutely what they intended. Hades in the storyline with Orpheus and Eurydice was the most well-done use of like dramatic irony that I've encountered in a game in a long time. Okay. Essentially, what it is Zagreus, meets Eurydice while he's trying to escape, and she's like, "Oh, I died a while ago. I had this dude that I had a thing with, etc." And Orpheus is the court musician at the time in the House of Hades, and he talks about how he lost his muse and tried to save her and is all down because of that now. And me being Greek mythology savvy am like, Zagreus, both of them, help them out. And he still didn't get it for a while. I'm like, if the rest of the talking to these two isn't dedicated to helping them reunite, I'm going to be super frustrated. So finally getting that to happen, and that is where the story went afterwards. So, Supergiant, really great at creating stories and going the way that they should. But I remember just that specific instance, I'm like, oh, I can't do anything because my character doesn't know what I know, and it's so annoying.
Yeah. Hades is obviously a game that we've brought up a lot. We might have shielded up from it. Do I still have to say product provided? I feel like I have to.
I think you're good at this point.
Am I good at this point? Guys, just so you know, all 20
it's almost
of you.
It's been a year.
It has been a year. You've got a good point. But, Hades was a game that I played quite a bit of, but the story of Hades is something that I didn't really get to experience as much as everyone else did. Mainly from the fault of my own of, I'm a god tier gamer, boys. No, it's just... I just got extremely lucky in Hades, and a lot of my runs ended up. I beat the first area of the game on my second run. You know, the first one actually leaving. I beat the second area on the run after that, and the third area I was stuck on for a little bit, but then I beat that within like 4 turns. I escaped within like 9 attempts, and it was like I just got some really good builds and really lucky. And the one downside to that was that for me to get more of the story, to me to experience a lot of that stuff, it would be me basically committing to just keep playing the game, just keep doing it. And you know what I'm like? As soon as the main story's over, as soon as those credits have rolled, my monkey brain's like, "Salut, see you next time." I'm sure that story's great.
For this particular subplot, like, I hadn't finished it by the time I had completed 9 attempts. And 10 is when you roll credits and the post game starts, and I didn't know what the post game was going to be like at the time, so I'm just sitting there like every time I get to Asphodel and not having Eurydice show up before the boss fight, I'm like sandbagging it, just burning to death. But yeah,
no, that's fair enough. And it's like, to be fair, the performances in that game and just the characterization in that game is top notch. I am not someone that knows much about Greek mythology in the slightest, right? My knowledge of most mythologies is actually awful. I just go, oh, I know Thor. He's from God of War in the MCU. Am I right, gamers? Rise up. Like, I don't know much about mythologies in general. I find it super interesting, but at the same time, I wouldn't be like you, where I'm like, okay, so there's this person that looks a bit like a tree, and then this guy in the court, the guy in the court is a bit down bad. He's a bit sad. That's nice. As I skip along, going, time to go kill some people in hell again. Let's go.
yeah.
So to me, it didn't really hit as well. But also, like I say, I did not experience the story as most people did, which was, naturally for me. Like, I had to do a bit of your stuff where I was like, if I wanted to find people, I was like, having to basically SD, just like quickly kill myself and go, oh, there we go, not here, damn, go kill myself again. But it is a really, the way Hades does its story is a very interesting way, and it's very good for a game like that, where you have to replay over and over again for you to get that story through those attempts.
It really does take advantage of the structure of the game in a way that no other most roguelikes, you're lucky if you get a story, really, and this one makes the story so that it had to be that way, and it was really good at that.
No, fair enough. And we've talked about Hades plenty. There's plenty of episodes on Hades if you want to go in depth with us on it. There are literally I feel like 3.
Well.
There's a review. There's the Hades first impressions from Hunter when it came out on Switch. There's the Hades.
I never did that. The review was the first time I talked about it.
Oh, did we not talk about it on the podcast? I thought you brought it up. No? Okay.
It may have got like a passing mention, but we were talking about other stuff. The review was the first time I talked about it like properly.
Okay. Well, you got that, and then you got off mine and Kyle's first impressions when the game came to other consoles. Yeah. So plenty of that kind of.
Kyle still bought the Switch version.
I got a free copy. And then I intended to buy a copy, but I keep forgetting to. I need to at some point. I'll get on it. Anyway, Kyle, what's have you got for us? What's the first pick for you?
All right. So I don't want to get too sad just yet. So we're going to go with like a feels good kind of emotion. And that is Devil May Cry 5's ending.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Hey, it's been a while since we brought up DMC.
We should say that timestamps are in the description for every single one of these games. If you don't want to be spoiled on a game, go down to the description. We're doing our best this time to put every single game. So if we do go into spoilers, you don't have to worry about it. Just skip to the next one. Or just hop through. Mm-hmm. It'll kill our attention, but we're doing it for you and we don't care. So go for it. Yeah. We insist. So DMC, I have to sit through the spoilers. Feel bad for me. Anyway, Cal, so how does DMC5 end? Haven't played it.
You can leave. No one's stopping you.
Just bye.
Just flag them back when we're done talking. Yeah.
Wait. I don't. DMC is something that I'm not particularly... if I played DMC, I wouldn't really be in it for the story regardless, so feel free. Go ahead. I'll live.
All right. So DMC5 is basically like the capstone of the whole DMC franchise. At least that's how it's presented. Kind of brings back a lot of old characters and references back to the old DMC games. And 5's ending, I think, is like the perfect capstone to something like this, where it feels like everything gets closed nicely. Nero kind of he gets like Dante passes the torch to him and he's like, "You're going to be the new protector of this world now. Me and your dad are going to go kill demons in hell. Go keep that world safe." So, Nero finally gets to step into the spotlight after getting shafted in 4.
Yeah, 4 cut the legs out from under him, and this really felt like they were correcting that in a lot of ways, while still being respectful of the legacy of the series beforehand.
Yeah. And then even Virgil and Dante, they finally get to have some closure with each other. It feels like they've mellowed out as they've gotten older compared to how they were in DMC 3, where they were just at each other's throat the whole time.
Yeah.
And then
took a brief pause to fight with each other against someone else, and then it was back to throwing hands.
Yeah. And like, even when they're just down in hell, they're the only two there, or down in the underworld, I guess, not hell.
Well, they're just down in hell, hanging out like a bunch of guys, dudes being dudes,
It's commonplace in this series.
Dudes being bros, dude.
Just bros
That's
being
how it
bros.
goes.
Of course.
Just bros being bros. But like,
what can I say?
They're still sparring with each other, but you can tell that like it's not serious in any way. There's no stakes involved. They're just doing it for fun.
I just beat the Virgil mode earlier this week, and the extra interactions that they had at the end of that scene when you beat it with him, I'm like, oh, I like seeing these guys interacting is great. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially considering how things ended in like DMC 3, for example, where final boss ends and Virgil's like, "I'm out. I'm going to the underworld to go fight Mundus.
I'm just staying here.
I'm staying here. You go back. You deal with the human world."
And then years later, Dante ends up, killing him anyway.
Yeah.
While he's being mind controlled.
Yeah.
It's wacky sad.
To be fair, I just had to look up. I'm not going to lie. This is how much I don't know about Devil May Cry. I had to look up who Nero was. And then when I looked up who Nero was, and then read and then when I read the thing of his father is Virgil, the twin brother of Dante, I then realized that Dante and Virgil are related. That's how little I know about Devil May Cry. Was I learned a lot of things just from that one sentence. It was like, now the more you know.
Why are they fighting each other?
That was educational.
Actual in-game dialogue.
No, like for I feel like as much as people joke about, I've said this before, as much as people joke about Devil May Cry's lack of story, it's always there. It's just not as important.
It's just not the drawing
like the gameplay
factor.
Yeah.
It's not what people are going
to DMC for.
Yeah. If you're going to tell someone to play it, you're going to tell them to play it because the gameplay is unmatched. And if you end up playing all of them, chances are you're probably going to end up being attached to the story and the characters, even if it's not like Shakespearean great stuff,
No, that's fair enough. Fair enough indeed. I'm going to take it to a place where, I feel like let's talk about a recent game, right? Let's talk about a recent game. It's a game that I played recently, and I enjoyed it so much. It's called Scarlet Next. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man,
I mean, that game did do something to you emotionally.
Yeah, it emotionally drained me by having me have no more emotions. I did finish Scarlet Nexus though, so I'm finally free. So I'm free to play everything.
The plat.
I did, unfortunately. I did indeed. But no.
2 out of 3 HGO hosts have the Platinum Trophy in Scarlet Nexus. Put that on the box.
Smart.
Come on, Hunter. You can make it 3.
I could,
do it,
but I'm not
don't
gonna.
Do it. Don't do it. Trust me, it's not worth
but
it.
You could.
I liking that game. I'm not gonna make myself hate it.
I like it enough that, like I say, it was like I'd play a sequel, but
it's a nice one and done.
Yes. Don't do it. Don't tune done it, even though it says you should. Anyway, no, I played a game today that I felt like I was like, oh, this is a coincidence. This would fit. And if we're talking about games that don't necessarily just make you feel sad, like like make you blow your eyes out, but it just did make me feel very nostalgic and it did kind of move me in a way. It's a indie game that came out recently that I'm sure some of you would have heard of, called Unpacking. And it's on Game Pass for those of you who have an Xbox or a PC. I don't know actually if it's on Game Pass PC. I shouldn't say that. I'm under the assumption that everything on Game Pass is magically on PC, whether they ported it or not. And I'm just like, yeah, of course it is. But Unpacking is basically a game about moving. So you are essentially it's
It is on
under
PC.
it is okay, epic.
Yeah.
It's on
Yeah, it's on
PlayStation as well.
everything.
It's on everything, also, and Switch. But it's
Switch,
basically
Xbox,
it's a game
Mac,
about
Windows,
moving, and you're
PlayStation.
following you're following this character as they move throughout their life, essentially. And it's you just basically opening up boxes, picking stuff out of the box, and placing it where you want it to be placed. And then the game will be like, really, did you really just put the plate on the floor and just leave it there? No, put it in the drawer. But I feel like at first I was like, oh, it's cute. It's like a lo-fi kind of game where it's just like you just do it to chill out. You just vibe. It's only like 3 hours long. And as I said to these guys beforehand, I was like, it's not going to take me 3 hours. And then I played it all in one go. And I was like, when I finished, I said to myself, that wasn't 3 hours. They were all chatting a load of nonsense. Closed the game, checked my game time. It was 3 hours. I wasted 3 hours on it. Well, not wasted. I just spent 3 hours on it without even knowing it was 3 hours. I thought it had been like an hour. So that's the kind of game that it is. It's just one of those. But I think the reason that it got to me was just because it's basically you're doing it throughout the 20 years of someone's life. So you start out of them being a teenager and then moving house, and this is their new room as like a kid, right? So you're moving all the plushies, you're moving all the stuff like that. And then it's moving to college. And so, and then it's moving in with roommates. Then it's moving in with your boyfriend. Then it's moving back home. You know, moving into your first actual house, then your partner moving in, and then moving in as an adult, right? And you're going through this person's life. But the reason it hit me the way it did was because you're very much, you kind of resonate and you kind of form a bond with this person that you're unpacking all this stuff with, because they don't ever say a word in the game. You don't know anything about them. You don't know who they are, what they're doing, or whatever. But you do know a lot about them because you're packing up their underwear. You're taking these bits and pieces of their life and you're going, okay, this goes here, and you'll pick stuff up and you'll go, oh, she's had that like kind of figure, that kind of statue of the Eiffel Tower for a while. Does she have like a thing for traveling? Is that something? Or the thing that got me, that made me feel personally attached to it, was there was this like pink little pig, like this little pink plushy pig that she got when she was a kid, obviously. But then when she moves to university, all of her stuff's different. But she brings that pig along. And then the pig just shows up everywhere, and it'll be like the pig fades in color because it's getting old. It'll have cuts and marks. There'll be this part where she obviously has forgotten about it. Then there'll be a part later where you've noticed that she's patched it up, and it's like it's still there. And it's just like it's those things where it's like you just start to notice these little bits and pieces where I'm like, oh, she still has that. And it's like you're watching the passing through time through 3 hours of unpacking someone's personal belongings. And it's just, you do kind of just get that emotional attachment to it, where I was just like, it's kind of making me nostalgic, and it's kind of just making you feel like, I remember when I was a kid and all that had all that stuff and stuff like that. And you do keep a hold of those certain bits and pieces. Not everything makes it throughout the entirety of your life, but a lot of people will have that one plush or a couple of things from your childhood that you'll just subconsciously will be with you for the rest of you'll just keep them going. And, you know, you may forget about things from time to time, but they'll then come back into your life again and you'll remember about it. And through good times and bad, you have all these different things. And it was a very introspective game for doing a lot of literally just organizing someone's rooms for them for 3 hours. And it was just one of those things where it's like, I've never really felt like that from a game when it literally is just unpacking people's things. But it's such a brilliant idea, because I'm like, yeah, of course you'd feel some kind of nostalgia and attachment to someone as you keep going through their things throughout 20 years of their life. Of course. It's just a really cool game, and I like it quite a bit. I definitely recommend it. If you have the free time, if you have 3 hours, if you have Game Pass especially, just go and play it. Go download it. Go play it. It's a very chill game, but you end up getting attached. And that pig was like my child. I was like, you better not throw the pig. Every time, in every level, I was unboxing. I was like speedrunning the unboxing. I'm like, where's the pig? Where's the pig? Where's the pig?
Yeah, that does
Every
seem like
time,
the kind
find
of
a
game
place.
that could do a lot of interesting, like, no dialogue storytelling.
Hmm.
Just seeing what stayed from move to move.
Yeah, it does a lot, and like you say, you learn a lot about them from it. And it's just one of those interesting things. It's like when you move back from your boyfriend's. You obviously, in my head, I was like, okay, so she's probably broken up with him. So there was a photo of her and her boyfriend. So I'm like, where would she put it? Where would someone put it? And for me, I was like trying to chuck it in the bin. I was like, bin, no,
Mhm.
bin,
In
no.
the sock drawer.
And I was like, no, yeah, but it was like, oh yeah, she stuck it in the cupboard with a load of other stuff. I'm like, that makes sense. It just kind of hiding it, just kind of moving it away. Like it's stuff like that where you almost start to like subconsciously start thinking like the person instead of yourself.
Mm.
And for a game like where you have zero dialogue and it's not like an RPG, so I'm not in that headspace. It's just kind of interesting where you're like, you just starts to subconsciously going, okay, well they'd probably have that there now, even though I don't know what the hell they've done in the 6 years previous, like in between. It's just one of those really interesting things.
Yeah, I played a game a couple of years ago called Florence. That's kind of what you're talking about. Reminds me of it a little bit.
Mm.
Just kind of narratively, there is a bunch of moving stuff around. There was non-dialogue dialogue in it, but the way they told their story was interesting too, and it was an introspective kind of thing.
Yeah, no, very good. I'd highly recommend it. What have you got next, Hunter? Anyway.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna go with just generally, Metal Gear Solid 4 is a pretty upsetting game.
Mm.
I'm not gonna be too specific since there's the chance that you two may eventually end up playing one or so of the games.
I think I know this one
But
because my
no,
dad played it.
Yeah, just generally, Metal Gear Solid 4 is upsetting.
Mm.
Solid Snake is now an old man, so like the coolest fictional character that I've ever seen in my life up to that point now can barely walk without the assistance of his like military suit. So that's upsetting. The state of the world, the not too distant future of 2014 is, constant. The economy is just propagated by wars that don't mean anything. Heyo. Just the state of
relate.
just the state of the state of where all the other characters are as well is depressing. Like Otacon and Snake both live as like fugitives. They Raiden has been through some nonsense in the 5 years in between 4 and 2. Like it's just a lot of it just tonally is very upsetting, and there's specific moments in the game that are like out of control towards the end especially. But yeah, just all together,
It's a very long
Solid.
cutscene.
Yeah.
No, I do like yeah. Metal Gear is obviously. I mean, you can say that. There's always
You could say
emotional
it about
ties
the
with
whole
all of
series
Kojima,
with
right? Yeah,
a
with
lot of
everything.
their.
I mean, even Death Stranding has very like everything's about ties and emotional connections with people. Everything that Kojima ever does is about characters relating to other characters. A lot of the time, it's very much character-based storytelling. Because, like, again, when you take it to Death Stranding, right, you have all these relations. It's about building links, strands between other people. That's like what it is, and it's like it doesn't surprise me that a Kojima game, especially one about you, the main protagonist of the franchise, getting old and just like on his last legs, basically, and having to deal with a world that also feels like it's on its last legs as a parallel is very much fitting.
Yeah, it's a world that's like leaving him behind too. Like all the soldiers and stuff have like nano machines, a meme throughout the series as far as like it's been memetized by the internet. But it's in that game, like it makes their reactions better, it makes their synchronicity with their teammates better and all that. And Snake isn't part of that system, so people are almost at his level, but not quite there. It's very much him struggling to still exist in a world that's moving on.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I can see. Whereas Metal Gear is like one day we'll have an episode of the podcast where me and Kyle have gone, yeah, we've played Metal Gear.
I've actually been. I have a few weeks off of work now,
No,
so
don't get me started.
I'm actually thinking about just throwing MGS1 to the PlayStation and
Do it.
getting through that.
Do it. You can do it. I believe in you. But instead of doing that right now, why don't you give us another game instead? Why don't you?
Dude, well, speaking of the PlayStation 1,
Oh,
Chrono
boy.
Cross is a very good video game.
Oh, darn it. I thought
Except
you were
on
gonna
the
say
Nintendo
Apex Games. That
Switch.
made me cry.
Except for when it also made me cry when Square Enix ported it. But I got a cool PlayStation theme out of it, so swings and roundabouts.
Let's just look on the bright side. It's not the worst thing that Square released this year.
Yeah.
Hey, Babylon's Fall.
It's probably in the top
Hey,
5. It's probably in the
NFTs.
top 50%. Yeah, it's probably in the top 50%, to be honest. Don't forget about
Legit.
Chocobo GP.
Chocobo GP. I forgot about it.
Remember when Balan
Final
Wonderworld was
Fantasy
the
killing
least of that? Was that?
chaos.
Yeah. Balan Wonderworld used to be the worst of their problems, and now look, like genuinely, I'd take another Balan Wonderworld over whatever the hell Square's been up to this year.
Kingdom
Jeez.
Hearts on the cloud.
Oh yeah, masterpiece
Legit.
collection. Yeah.
Square Enix has my vote for HGA's worst producer of the year.
Oh, dude, have you heard what Diablo Immortal has been this year?
Yeah, Activision's
No.
trying to go for a 2 for 2.
Dude, Diablo Immortal has microtransactions so bad it's like $100,000 for the right to play the game.
Dude, I
Wow.
can't wait. I can't wait for the Crash Bandicoot multiplayer game to come out. That's rumored that might have been announced as of this going up.
It wasn't.
It was.
It wasn't.
Because just
It's
I can
not
just
real.
picture the number of microtransactions that'll be in that fucker, dude. It'll be great, dude. It'll be great if Diablo's anything to go by. But anyway, we're not here to talk about shitty practices from the present. We're here to talk about decent practices from the past, like making good
Yeah.
video games like Chrono Cross.
Hell yeah. Bless up Chrono Cross. So near the end of Chrono Cross, you're pretty much your first party member, Kid, she's become incapacitated. And in order to bring her back, you basically enlist the help of these little spirits that are able to send you back into her memories, and you're able to help her there.
Oh, memory and
So where it
epic.
sends you is what the community refers to as the Orphanage of Flame scene.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Oh no, is Anakin about to kill the younglings, dude?
Maybe.
Oh
It's
no.
hard to tell because there's only like Kid's the only person left in the orphanage.
Okay,
She's
so
the only one that
Anakin-
was there. I don't know if she was the only one always there or if Anakin happened, but
Okay, Anakin happened, dude. It was either Anakin or Kylo Ren. It was one of them. Let's think. Who did it? Was it an emo boy or was it just a really angry boy? Which one was it?
Yes?
I'm gonna say angry boy.
Okay, it was Anakin then. It was definitely Anakin.
All right.
The guy didn't come in going, my granddad did it too, so I'm going to. Anyway.
But yeah, this whole scene is just like it plays like a giant cutscene where you can't really fail it, but it's just really powerful considering how it's at the end of the game, so you're already familiar with all these characters. You know what Kid is like at this point, and this is basically just backstory for why she is the way she is. And I just think it's capped off. It has some great music to it also. You just need to look up Orphanage of Flame. Great song. It's very like energetic, very like we need to figure out this and get out of here as soon as possible. And then when you're finally out, you meet the bad guy of the game and his little henchman. And you get little baby Kid out of there. And then you have a little nice scene with her on top of a hill. Wonderful song plays called Star Stealing Girl. It's just it tugs on the heartstrings. It's a very nice way to cap off Kid's arc and really the last story arc of the game until the final boss. And it's just like it's done really well.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, it sounds
We do
like
know
a
you do love your
classic.
Chrono.
That does sound like a classic, kind of. Square Enix WoW moment there.
Mm.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
There were quite a
They're
lot
on-
of those on the PlayStation.
There's a lot in
yeah,
Square
there were.
games in general, to be honest.
Honestly, yeah.
It's like it's almost a trope in Square games to to have those scenes, but not in a bad way. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Not that's not an insult to them.
No, like
Just
you
like
want
those
moments
those high production kind of scenes.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I next up for me, I'm just trying to think of games that I'm just trying to not go through the obvious ones because it's like I know what people are thinking. People are thinking, basic bitch Ethan. Let's go. Let's count them down. Like the people have probably got 2 or 3 games in their head. So I'm trying to go for ones that
I want
aren't
that bingo card.
literally people have got HGO Ethan simp bingo. Let's figure it out, boys. Let's figure it out. Countdown till he does the fucking Persona 5 anecdote. Get like literally the time in it. The speed on it. But no, I'm gonna go. I've talked about this game before because I'm a massive fan of Mike Bithell, but I'm just gonna throw it out there again anyway, and that's Mike Bithell's first game. Thomas Was Alone, which is I want you to picture those Square Enix, those high quality, those big budget emotional moments, and then I want you to imagine a video game about a red square and a yellow square and a blue square that's bigger than the others. And a rectangle. Actually, I think the yellow square was a rectangle, actually, if I remember correctly. I just want you to imagine a load of fucking squares.
Okay.
And then I want you to then imagine feeling depressed and crying about the squares at the end of it. And that is Thomas Was Alone. It's a beautiful story about squares. Like literally, it's a beautiful like platform 2D platformer. Narrated by Danny Wallace, who you may know. He's been in other video games. He was in Assassin's Creed. He played Sean Hastings in Assassin's Creed, for those of you who didn't know. But he's also a very good English comedian, if you know English comedians. But he's very good in it, and it's basically him just narrating a story. It's almost like a storybook. He is narrating the story to you, and he's talking as the characters. He's doing it all himself. It's a one-person show. It is basically a one-person show, a one-person play. But he makes all of these squares feel unique, have character, where you actually emotionally resonate with these little pixels on a screen. And it's like it's one of those things where it was one of those early indies, and it's just one of those things where you're like, these kinds of games are the reason why indie did so well and why indie was so pushed for and why people were like, oh, that's the kind of game that I want to play. Because back when that came out, you wouldn't get games like that. This was when, this was the era where everything started to come out, like Terraria, Thomas Was Alone. What the heck is that? I don't know what that beeping was. If you heard that, I'm going to die. Beep. Beep. I'm going to go run and look
this
at
podcast will self-destruct in 10 seconds.
But, it's like, it was the era of, Binding of Isaac, Fez. It was all these indie games came out, and Thomas Was Alone was there, and it was basically like, look, we can tell a story and we can make you feel sad about a bunch of squares and rectangles, and it's just so good, and it's just a fantastic 2D platformer. But also by the end of it, you'll feel sad and alone because the whole story deals with the whole idea of friendship and being alone and all these other different thoughts and feelings that everyone goes through all the time, but it does it with stupid shapes, and you're like, this shouldn't work, but it does, and it's just really beautiful. And the soundtrack is haunting but beautiful. It's very, very like almost, it's got an ambience to it that's just like, it kind of feels alone. It feels alone. Yeah, it feels alone, and it's very melancholy, and it's the way it goes through the game, and it's just like it builds you up and then it removes it down. It's a brilliant game. I do love Thomas Was Alone so much, and I mean Mike Bithell obviously was very talented because he continues to make many an indie game following that and has his own team and studio now. So obviously did all right.
Yeah,
can't complain. Little Squares did good. Anyway, Hunter, back to you while I go and somehow figure out what the hell was beeping at me.
All right, so my next game, we'll throw in a bit of a tension breaker here. Portal 2 is hilarious. As far as like games that try to be comedic go, I think it's at like the top of its class, and there are so many times I quote this game just because it makes me laugh. You know, Gladys is hilarious. Cave Johnson is a class of his own as well.
Wheatley, don't forget to give it up for my boy
Wheatley.
Wheatley.
Wheatley is also hilarious. Like everyone who has a speaking role in that game, it just doesn't miss. There's so many good jokes. The lemons rant, the we both did things that you're going to regret when Gladys wakes up. Just so much good stuff comes from that game, as far as just how well written it is to be funny. And
I mean, people
even just
always
like
talk.
the little cores that are on GLaDOS and Wheatley in their boss
Oh
fight.
yeah, the Space Core.
Nolan North, shout out to Nolan North
so
for that one.
It's so good.
People always talk about the golden age of Valve, right? People always talk about, Half-Life 3 is the biggest meme on the planet, right? But I feel like the real tragedy is Portal, because it's like Portal is Half-Life. As much as I appreciate Half-Life for what it did, Half-Life is like, there are other games like Half-Life. There are games like Half-Life, I can say that. There's not a game like Portal. There genuinely isn't. Portal, 11 years since Portal 2, and there's not been a single game that has come close in the puzzle genre to Portal, in the way that it thinks, in the way that it acts, in the way that it is. It's just, there's nothing like Portal.
Yeah.
And we're never going to get anything like it again, and unless Valve decides to make a Portal 3, which they're never going to do. And I would
sacrifice every future Half-Life game and all of those Half-Life games' children for a Portal 3.
I honestly, it's such a shame, because, like I say, Valve has all of these incredible and amazing IPs, but they sit on them and they do nothing with them. And it's like, yes, they made Alex. I know there's somebody sitting there going, they made Alex. I'm like, well done, they made Alex. And they'll probably make a Portal VR thing as well, but...
Oh, God.
If they could make that work, that'd be the thing that gets me interested in actually trying a VR headset.
And then the whole world got motion sick.
Yeah, the whole world, got motion sick, exactly. But, man, it's just like, nothing comes close to Portal and the writing of Portal. And it was like, even the writers of Portal were saying earlier this year, they were like, Valve, could you hurry up, because we're not getting any younger and we'd love to do a third one.
That's the worst part, is that the people involved want to make another one, but like it just I am sure
there are people at Valve that want to make another one. It's just the way Valve works at the moment is sorry about that. The way that Valve works is they're not interested as much as they used to be in game development. They're still working on bits and pieces here and there. And I would hope, and I do believe, that one day we will see Portal again, but I don't know if that'll be anytime soon. Unfortunately, I mean, it's already been 11 years, and they're pretty happy to sit and watch games like TF2 die from bots, and watch, like Half-Life have Alex, but nothing further. It's like, it's weird. It looks like they're trying to get back into making more games with Alex. Let's hope that they actually do, and it's not just a couple of things to sell some VR consoles, some headsets. They've got a Steam Deck. It'd be a really great. All I'm saying is they've made a console now. It'd be a really good way to promote that if you had some exclusives that you made yourself. Like,
be like, Portal 3, the best way to play is on the Steam Deck. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. But no, you should definitely, if you have not played Portal, I would highly recommend it. It's coming to Switch this year, so.
Oh right, if you haven't
forgot
played
about
that.
I was just thinking about that. When is that supposed to be out?
July? Let me look it up.
Because for some reason I thought it was supposed to be out in May, but we're in the middle of June now.
Yeah.
Portal Companion Collection. It's just got 2022 on it.
Oh, classic.
But it is coming. And it will have multiplayer, apparently.
Woo!
So it will have the Portal 2 co-op, which is great as well. It's basically a second Portal 2.
Great.
It's really great. Anyway, where are we going next, Kyle?
All right. So I have recently finished playing Dragon Quest XI. I finally went back to go and finish that game.
You finished it?
I did.
Yeah, good
All
job.
except for the true final boss, because I'm not grinding and you can't make me.
That's the spirit. Suck it, outdated game conventions.
I've done enough grinding in JRPGs. I can read the writing on the wall of what happens after I beat the true final boss.
Something.
But anyways, Dragon Quest XI is an absolutely fantastic video game, and I highly recommend it to anybody who is just looking for a simple chill out with a turn-based JRPG. Great entry point for the series. And it's what kept me going is that it has probably one of my favorite casts in a modern JRPG. The whole cast of characters is just a lovely gaggle. Special mention goes to
I've
Savando.
not used that's like word of the day. That is like yeah. Gaggle.
I've not heard
anyone. I've not.
I used it last night.
In
in fact,
it's probably why Cal. That's why Cal. That's why
Use
Cal
it when you
got it
play
from.
Scrabble.
I didn't say it in the Discord
not?
call last night. I said it like to myself in reference to there were some people like congregated right outside the convenience store right as I was parking. I'm like, man, there's a gaggle of people just next to that parking spot.
Okay, yeah.
Ethan, if you haven't learned by now, Hunter and I just share a brain cell.
Yeah. Very annoying source of a brain cell. Me, monkey brain, using the same 5 words to describe everything.
Ethan,
quickly think of an adjective.
A swell.
Amazing. Brilliant. Anyway,
Shiny.
Astounding. Yeah. Anyway, underwhelming. Go on.
Anyways. So yeah, Dragon Quest XI's cast is absolutely fantastic. And honestly, I could have put any of their stories on this list or on in this discussion. But the one I'm going with is Eric. So Eric is your first party member that you get. He's basically your Ryuji, Yosuke, Junpei. He's your persona, bro.
Yeah.
And after the first act of the game, the world they pull Final Fantasy VI and the world goes to shit. Everything dies.
Classic.
World is ruined. It's a classic. I love it. And the whole party ends up getting separated. So what the game does from this point is it goes around and you play through each of your little characters' side stories until they eventually meet back up with each other. And I think Eric probably has one of the most well done of these side stories. So Eric ends up getting put in jail, and I don't know, I'm a bit fuzzy on the details, but because that's the part I played before I stopped playing for a year. But Eric ends up in jail, and he meets up with this little demon buddy, and then as they're making their escape, they get ambushed, and in order for Eric to get out of it, this demon buddy he's with basically says, I can get you out of here, but I can give you the power to get out of here, but to do it, you're going to need to sacrifice all of your memories. Oh. So everything from the story up to that point, he's like, classic. Oh, well, it's my memories or my life. So Eric takes the deal, and then later on, you find him stored away in the deck, in the little bottom part of your ship. I don't know ship words. The basement. He's in the basement of the ship.
The brig.
The brig.
The cargo bay.
That's the one. The cargo. So you find him down
Vocabulary
there.
Hunter helping again.
So you find him down there, just like rummaging through your food, and he sees the cast and he doesn't recognize anybody, and everyone's like, dude, Eric, what's wrong with you? It's us. Don't you remember us? And he's like, no, I don't. I don't know why he sounds like that. But then more stuff happens, and you end up going to this Viking hideout where Eric gets his memories back, and you learn through backstory that he and his sister Mia were taken away as kids as basically slaves to this Viking crew, and they just had shitty lives. And then one day, Eric stumbles upon this magic necklace, which he gives to his sister, which has the power to turn whatever she touches into gold.
The Midas touch.
Pretty
Nice.
much, yeah. And then
No points for that one, Hunter. Even I knew that.
Yeah.
even Ethan knows that mythology.
Even I know
Yeah,
that
congratulations,
one.
Ethan.
It's in Fortnite. I know that one.
Oh, classic.
So anyways,
wish I was
Eric gives his
lying.
sister this necklace, and she ends up abusing the power, and eventually he's like, you need to just take this thing off, it's corrupting you, yada yada yada, anime. And then, so she's like, I can't get this necklace off. Eric tries to take it off, and then the necklace gets angry, and then Mia turns into this gold monster, which ends up being the whole fight. That ends up being the boss of that little side bit. And
Oh,
there's just
man.
something about how it's presented where, like, the first half of Dragon Quest is it's very light on character growth. You basically just get your cast, your party members, and it's not really until the second half of the game where they start to have to go through these arcs and kind of come into their own. And there's just something about the way Eric's story was presented that it just really resonated with me. But like I said, I mean, any of the cast could have been on this list. Even our silent pro tag.
Yeah. I do really like those stories where, eventually they overpower the memory loss. Like, it's something that at this point I've seen it done enough to be like, it's going to happen eventually. But man, most of the time when it does happen, it's such a good moment.
It is.
Yeah.
It's cool that, like, it's basically like the whole party gets to see his memories come back to him. Like, they get to see the flashbacks as well. So they're like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Okay, cool. Hunter, I've got to sort something out for a second, so you go again.
Alrighty. Can do. I brought this game up about a month ago when we mentioned characters and whatnot, but Valhalla Cyberpunk Bartender Action. And its incredibly amusing name has a really poignant moment in like the middle of it where essentially the catalyst for it is Jill, the bartender, learns that her girlfriend from college like passed away, and she never got to like reconcile with her before that happened, and she basically has like an existential crisis for the next couple of nights. And the one night, her buddy that's a regular there takes over the bartending duties, and Jill's the customer. And her whole thing about her story at college being basically she was like in this top level program, and for 4 solid years it was just all schoolwork and nothing else. And like she was being handed her diploma and basically had a panic attack right after that because she was like, there was nothing about it, just 4 years of my life disappeared. I didn't like anything that I did.
Amen to that one.
I can't remember.
Dude, wow.
I can't remember anything that I enjoyed during that point in time, and so on and so forth.
Can't relate. Oh,
like all of that,
bad.
and like I
graduated into COVID.
Yeah, I didn't go to college, but when I played Valhalla, I was at a job that wasn't particularly great. So I was sitting there feeling like my own life most of my time was not my own, and just kind of stuck in this purgatorious prison, essentially. So that hit me quite a bit. Got the wheels turning as far as what I was going to do in the future. And yeah, so it's really funny too, because it's a pretty silly game for the most part, and then they hit you with that like midway through, and it gives some weight to just the way that the characters interact with each other as far as the main cast of the people you're seeing most nights. Because like, yeah, silly hijinks go on, but it doesn't feel completely out of left field that something like that would happen, and it doesn't feel completely ridiculous when they get back to being silly later. But yeah, that's just one that always stuck with me, and because of the time and place in my life that I played that game, I'm probably not gonna forget it ever.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, on the topic of tropes that you love, that's one of my favorites is people from the past coming back.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a good one.
Interesting. Sorry, I had to drag you in earlier, Hunter. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Don't worry. We're good though. I'm back. I'm trying to think of stuff that isn't just too down the dumps and depressing anymore. So I'm still trying to think of stuff. So
I don't know, dude. I'm moving towar's that way.
yeah,
so.
that's why I'm getting there. But I wanted to bring up Undertale, but not for the reasons that people always bring up Undertale for. Because I've told the story on the podcast before. We're at that point now, guys. We've done over 100 episodes of this podcast. We're in our 20s. We don't have that many stories to tell. So if you've heard this one before, sorry, but you're gonna hear it again. I'm gonna talk about Undertale music. So I remember telling Hunter this story where I was like, I didn't get Undertale. I just didn't get it. I never played it, but I didn't understand the hype. I'm like, there's this quirky little indie game that there's this Sans character from. I've heard Megalovania. It's pretty epic, but I genuinely don't get it. So then I played it, and I played through the first couple of hours, and I was like, still don't get it. I'm like, music's great, story's alright, gameplay, I get it. Pacifism's an interesting idea, turning the head on turn-based RPGs by saying, what if I don't kill anything and get 0 XP the entire game? And that being the good route. I get it, it's cool. But nothing really hit me. And then there's the part of the game, which is, I'd say it's basically the final act, is where the start of the final act is.
Yeah.
Which is just after the lava core, the molten area. You've beaten the game show robot. You're moving on with your life.
Metaton.
Yeah, Metaton. You're moving on with your life. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, not the title theme, but the theme that is named after the title, because it's also called Undertale Plays, and you're in like this grayscale area of the first area, and it's basically the house from the start of the game, and it does this massive lore dump, and I'm a massive fan of lore dumps. I love when the game just shits out its plot within like 5 seconds. But
Ethan loves Scarlet Nexus, by the way.
I do. But I make an exception to Undertale because
it's really well done in this game.
It's really well done, and it just hits you like a ton of bricks, where it's just like, I don't know how the game went from crazy game show robot to instantly hitting that next note, and it just hit it. And that's when I was like, Toby Fox, say what you want about Undertale. If you think it's overrated, think if you think it's underrated. I don't care what you think. Toby Fox is a fucking genius. And if there's one thing that he's better, if he's the best at, he's not the best at game design, he's not the best at level design. He's a fucking genius and an incredible composer. And I don't want, like, he learned to do music because he needed it for his video game, yet he seems to excel at that the most, because my god,
imagine if that was his passion back in school. This man would be unstoppable.
If anything, though, I think it's more of a credit to him, and more like even profound that he is as good as he is when he did pick it up as a side thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, man would be like, I don't even think he needs. I
don't even think I honestly think it's part of that, having that grassroots, having to make it himself, that has made him so good. And it's just like the themes that he made for Sword and Shield were great. I'm sure the music he's going to make for Scarlet and Violet is going to be exceptional. You know, he did the Smash remix of Megalovania, also epic, great. You know, he's just so fucking talented as a musician, and that Undertale is my favorite song on the sound. When people always go like, people always talk about what their favorite songs are on the Undertale soundtrack, and you've got your basic bitches with Megalovania, you've got Snowden, you've got all of these stuff, and to me it's always Undertale, because it doesn't matter what I'm doing, where I am, whenever that song comes up in my playlist, it just invokes that feeling of just kind of, I don't know, it gives you that feeling of kind of like introspection. It just kind of makes you feel like you're kind of, it's like it takes you out of whatever moment you're in, and just lets you reflect and think about what you've done. And it's not necessarily, it got to me when I first played the game. I'm like, damn, it genuinely resonated with me, to the point where there was stuff after that, which I also was like, yeah, it's fine. But that, I don't care. In my head, I don't care that I think that Undertale is overrated, because for that one moment, I felt what everybody else felt. And I'm like, that's what I choose to take that away from Undertale. I don't take away how shitty the spider boss is, or how I had these moments which I really did not enjoy in it. I just take away that one moment of, that is like an iconic moment in a video game for me, where it's like, it took me out of it. And for once it was like, you're going for this exact note and I'm with you all the way on it. Like, you hit me. And it was like, fantastic piece of music that genuinely, still to this day, makes me feel things even when I'm not playing the video game. So it's like, it's incredible. And credit to Toby Fox, because man's too talented, and my god, I hate him. Far too talented. Can't wait for Deltarune to be finished so I can play it.
Me too, man. Like, Deltarune Chapter 2 is like my favorite thing the man's put out so far. So if it keeps on this upward trend, I'm all for it.
I mean, I'm tempted to actually just at some point when I'm free. I might just play Deltarune Parts 1 and 2, because it's going to be years till the full thing's ready. So I might as well get the 10 hours that I can now.
Yeah, I think you might like it more anyway too. Just going off of my own experience with the game and your opinions.
Hopefully. We'll see. Anyway, Kyle, where are you at?
All right, Ethan. So you might be able to relate to this, because you've played your fair share of competitive shooters back in your day.
Yeah, and I've cried from them, but I don't know if I put those in my most emotional moments of all time. I definitely have lost a couple of years of my life from the stress and the pain and the anger, but not. So, I don't know.
How do you feel about nerfs and buffs getting to characters that honestly make no sense at all?
Well, you see, let me tell you. I was a Tracer main, ladies and gentlemen. The game was balanced around Tracer. I stayed winning. Everyone else moved. I was the Rock. Until like 2019, and then they nerfed me, and I wasn't playing at that point, so I didn't care.
Enjoyed his gaming.
I was literally just like, I'm the Rock. People move around me. Enjoy your gaming, exactly, because I am fixed. I am the sole point. And in Overwatch 2, I will be the sole point again for the 3 weeks I play until I realize it's just Overwatch 1 again. But no,
so
I have played my fair share of games where things have been buffed and nerfed, and most of the time I don't get too attached. I just move on. I'm just like, what's better now? What's better? But I can see why people would, and I feel like if you're in a MOBA situation or something like that, it'd be a lot more impactful. But go on.
The reason I bring this up is because Guilty Gear Strive recently, as of yesterday, as of recording this, June 10th, it did its newest balance patch, which basically
this is a fresh cut, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, let me guess. Did they nerf the dolphin fucker?
Yeah.
Yeah, knew it.
The disaster of balancing.
Dude, May wasn't even that good. She just got memed to oblivion, and now she's in the fucking ground. Because everyone said nobody wanted to learn how to deal with dolphins. Oof, and now she's not even a fucking character.
Oh no.
Meanwhile, our top 3 characters, Leo, Happy Chaos, and Nagoriyuki, they got buffed. Why did the best characters get buffed?
Oh, what?
Meanwhile, the average like they buffed Meta Knight, just getting bonked on the head. Like, no, go down on the tier rung. Go down on the tier rung. May, you don't deserve to be a character anymore. You go down there with Faust.
Faust? Oh, God.
Fucking item thrower Faust, dude. You stay losing. It's just like, what? We're not game developers, so like we don't know what goes on. I'm sure balancing your games is very difficult to do, but just what compels them to say these best characters fucking stonks? They're gonna stay winning. They stay eating good.
Imagine if Smash Ultimate came out and Bayonetta was better than she was, and
that would have been so dumb. But like,
incredible.
Yeah.
Like, so I played competitive Pokemon for a while, and some of the stuff changes between all the Pokemon games because either they needs to account for all the new Pokemon, and old Pokemon get changes. But sometimes they just get changed to the point where they're not even really usable anymore. Talonflame, when it was introduced in Generation 6, had an ability called Gale Wings, which gave +1 priority to all of its flying type moves. And that got changed in Gen 7, because that was way too strong of an ability, to where it had to be at full health to have Gale Wings work. The problem is that its best move was Brave Bird, which does recoil. You're not at full health anymore. You get one turn of Gale Wings. So that thing just doesn't exist anymore. Aegislash got its base attack and defense cut by 10 points, so that's not even a Pokemon anymore. And then, bless you, Hunter.
Thanks, pal.
And then in Gen 8, they introduced Dynamax, which just Aegislash couldn't take advantage of at all, because
You telling me he didn't have a Buster Sword form?
No.
That's lame.
Aegislash in sword form, Aegislash is made of paper. It dies if you look at it funny.
Really?
And then my boy Gengar got owned in Generation 7. Ever since Gen 3, when abilities were introduced, Gengar's had Levitate. He's been, lets him dodge ground moves. And then Gen 7 happened. Fuck Sun and Moon, by the way. Awful video games.
It's true. It's true. Preach.
Then they took Levitate from Gengar.
But he's a ghost.
He's a ghost. Man, like, Gengar is still usable, even without Levitate. But now its ability is like Cursed Body or something, which disables an ability if it gets hit, which is just completely useless. Or disables a move if it gets hit. It's totally useless. Levitate was just infinitely better, and they just massacred my boy.
Look at what they did to my boy.
I can relate in some ways to this, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when Overwatch did plenty of this, but it's mainly with meta, it's not with thingy. It's the god meta used to just be rushing. Like when you had your rushing meta was just so good when everything was fun. And then Goats came along, which was just Shields, the video game. So it was just Reinhardt and Orisa and Brigitte and like everybody, and then everybody else was just the big fucking heavy buggers, and it was like, like it was just like pain because it was just you were just shooting into shields for 6 years, and it's just like it's not fun anymore, just not fun. So yeah, I can definitely relate to them killing the fun out of a video game just by patching. Can heavily agree with it, but no. Very fun. Oh, does it have to come back to me again? Is that how that works now?
Maybe. I did go
Hunter
twice.
Can go.
Pardon?
I don't know. You do what you want, man. Whatever feels right.
Is Hunter one ahead of me? You know?
I am one ahead. Yeah, I went to.
I mean, I'm on my last one.
Yeah. Well, I'll go again, and then if you're on your last one, then Hunter can go, then I'll go, then you go, then Hunt. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Who goes one? Right, anyway. Because Hunter's probably got a few. In fact, Hunter, fuck it. You go. You go.
All right.
Who cares? Hunter can have one extra than everyone else because Hunter's special. It's his podcast. We're just living it.
Yeah. I guess I'll go with Spiritfarer next.
Okay.
This game came out towards the end of 2020. I played it basically spread out across all of last year. The general premise is you're the new ferryman of the dead, essentially, and it's one of those resource management games where you build your boat and hold your lost souls and all of that. And like, I don't know, like your Animal Crossings and Stardew Valleys of the world, except it revolves around dead spirits. People. So that's what got me. And yeah, it is as sad as you would imagine it to be. You take these people onto your boat, you help them come to terms with all these things that happened in their life. You feel like you get to know them. You try to do the best you can to help them through it. And then you say goodbye. And, it hurts like every time it happens.
Every time you have to say goodbye.
Yeah, every time you send them through the door.
Get through the door. Be
Yeah,
gone.
that's like the thing when it's their time to
Through
leave
the door.
when it's their time to leave the boat. They go through. It's called the Ever Door in the game, and it's yeah, every time it is very emotional. Like you'd think it'd get easier after there's like a dozen of these people, and it does not. It made me. It essentially ruined my day for the rest of the for every time I got to one of those. Just sitting there wondering, man, did I do everything I could? So
And the
on
answer's
and so
no,
forth.
you didn't.
Yeah,
You never
it's,
do. You never do, Hunter. You never do.
yeah.
That's okay. I forgive you. But no, it's a game that it's on my list, but it's also one of those games where I'm like, it's sad. It gonna make me sad. I don't want to. Like,
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's if I didn't get because I started playing it in like February. If I didn't get my PlayStation 5, I probably would have just kept playing it until I beat it, and it's probably for the best that I didn't, and that it was this kind of spread out experience. I feel like that helped. That was better for the process, honestly. Like playing it across the whole span of the year.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I don't know where to go from here because Carl's only got one more. Where should we go? I mean, I'm just gonna be real with anybody. If you've listened to this podcast for a while, you know where these last ones are gonna be. I'm not gonna shock anybody. There's no more shocking in the world. I'll do this one because then the next one Cal can jump in on. So I'll do this one. Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. Double whammy, I guess.
Yeah.
Because
Pew.
yeah. Because like I say, I don't get how Rockstar does it, to be honest, because they're they were known for GTA, right? They're known for these nonsense kind of stories, these stupid kind of stories where it's just a lot of kind of offensive material a lot of the time.
It's just
with
a dumb criminal fantasy, essentially.
Dumb criminal fantasy, and there'll be bits and pieces there like story that resonates, but it's very much the wacky and the bizarre. So, and don't get me wrong, Red Dead still has that, but at the core of both Red Dead games is a story about family and about just kind
driving
of
fast cars.
No, not unfortunately driving fast horses. No, but it's very much it's a story about family, and it's a story about loss. A lot of it is, and it's like whether it's the loss of the West, because it's both games are set near the end of the Wild West, and all the characters are basically going through the idea of this, what they consider a golden age isn't lasting forever, and civilization is coming knocking around the corner. But
Yeah,
it's
also one
also
of those the world is moving on and they're
but
being
yeah,
left
but
behind
everybody
kind
else,
of things.
we're being left behind. And then, have you played Red Dead 1, Hunter?
Yeah, I played the first game.
Okay. So obviously in Red Dead 1, I know Cal will never play Red Dead 1 or 2 because there's this giant
I've
thing
played
called...
Red Dead 1.
Have you played all of it?
Not all of it.
Surprise.
I played a very small portion of it once. Sophomore year, my friend came over with his PS3, and we played that for a little bit. I shot a dude, and I'm like,
Nice.
wonder if I can do this, and I did.
Nice.
And my friend was like, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, "I wanted to see if I
I'm a
could."
cowboy. Boy.
Boy, you fight
Shut
the bear with a
horses
knife.
back.
Ain't nobody gonna stop me. But now,
I'm the rootinest tootinest.
but now I'm like, yeah,
Cowboy
they're like the most
shootinest.
they're the most anti-Kyle games though, because there's like a big fucking open world that's like you've got to go and explore to get to the end of it.
Hey, I'm just saying the 2 hours I played of it were good fun.
Hey, maybe you should go and play it.
Even
Maybe
if that's the only part I remember.
But yeah, they're both Red Deads are known for their sad stories. They do not have happy endings in the slightest. Because they're both about loss, whether it's the loss of family or whether it's the loss of the guy. And it's just like Red Dead 2 is a prequel to Red Dead 1, so you know how everything's going to go for most of these characters. And if they're new, you're like, well, they didn't show up in Red Dead 1, so chances are they don't have happy endings either. And it's just Red Dead 2, I think, is particularly bittersweet and particularly tragic if you've played the first one and have an attachment to the first one. Because you know where all these characters end up, and it's like you imagine playing a game where for the entirety of it you hear about this big massive breakup that happened. And now imagine then going and playing a video game after knowing all of the details, and then basically going, watch these people that you know have that breakup and watch it all fall out in real time.
Yeah.
And because you're not playing the character. You play John Marston in Red Dead 1. You don't play as John in Red Dead 2. He's a character in Red Dead 2, but you're playing Arthur Morgan. So you're even watching the person that you play in the original go through all this, and you're not 100% with them because you're playing through the eyes of someone else. And it's really interesting because the John Marston you see in Red Dead 2 isn't the John Marston in Red Dead 1. Both literally because he's younger, but also in the sense of I'm not in control of him. He's his own person in a sense. And it's like you're very much different to who you are. And
that's actually really cool.
It is really cool. And they also do the fantastic thing of having a character from the original who is so beloved. John Marston is probably one of the most popular protagonists in a video game ever. And
he was like one of the best protagonists of the PS3 era by far.
He is one of the best, if not the best protagonist. He's one of the best video game protagonists ever. And the fact that they make you play as someone else, and everybody was like, I don't want to play as someone else, and then have Arthur Morgan be equal, if not a better protagonist than John Marston is incredible. And it's just all the characters in that game. There's I really do hope that we will see another Red Dead Redemption because it sold so many copies.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that the way it's going to go is GTA is going to be a once in a blue moon situation while the online keeps thriving. And then when they want some quick injection of story cash, they go to the Red Dead cow, is what I see happening. But I'm completely fine with that because Red Dead story and characters is fantastic. And the performance is incredible. And without going into too many spoilers, I cried at the end of both of those video games. And I'm not ashamed to say that I cried at the end of both of those video games. And
the story of 2 does a really good job at even recontextualizing the first game to make it even more powerful.
Do you know what'd be great? Rockstar just saying remake Red Dead 1 in the Red Dead 2 engine, because my god, literally having those games back to back, people are like, having Last of Us 1 the same as Last of Us 2,
I'm sure that printing money will be like, give them some ideas there.
I really hope they do, because it's like Red Dead 1 is stuck on the PS3 and 360, and it doesn't deserve to be, because it is one of, if not it's one of Rockstar's best games that they've ever made. In some ways, it's better than Red Dead 2 because it's smaller in scope, but still, they're fantastic. And they made me cry like a fucking bitch because they're very sad, but also awesome. But anyway, and also just both Roger Clark and what's his name? Who plays John Marston? I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Oh man,
John Marston, Rob Wheatoff. That's it, Rob Wheatoff. Both of them deserve to be in far more than they have been, and Roger Clark seems to be starting that train soon of coming back to video games, and they both deserve it because people kind of went crazy when Red Dead won all of those Game of the Year awards, but one of them that they did deserve is Roger Clark winning Best Performance, because he was fucking phenomenal in that video game.
It was pretty great.
I'm sorry, Christopher Judge, but I do think that was a better performance than Kratos, even though everybody else was like, God of War was robbed. Yeah. Anyway. Kyle, what have you got as your final one, I guess?
Oh, I'm going now?
Yeah, you're going now, because then Hunter will go, then mine will connect to yours. How many do you have left, Hunter?
Let's see. No, I'm down to 1.
Are you down to 1?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kyle's got 1. Okay. We'll just do 1 then. We'll just do 1, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up with Persona at the end. Okay, we'll do that.
That works.
We'll have a communal Persona thing at the end. There we go. Right. Go on then, Kyle. What's your last one?
Alrighty. Trigger warning for suicide.
Oh, okay. That might be for the rest of the... No, it's not for the rest of the show, but yeah. We're going to talk about Persona as well, so just a heads up.
Yeah. Heavy topics coming up.
Yes, sir.
Not to make light of this.
No, not to make light of it in the slightest.
Yeah. So, Final Fantasy VI is a very swell video game.
Right.
I have talked about this, actually, just like Hunter, a few weeks ago on the characters episode.
Unacceptable, retreading content.
Oh, we would never do that.
Never.
You're right.
Never in a
What are you
million
talking
years.
about?
Here, let me talk about Xenosaga real quick.
No.
Please, Xenosaga.
No.
You'll be glad I struck that from my list.
Don't worry, we'll get to it.
So anyways, a few weeks back we did favorite characters, and I had mentioned that Celeste from Final Fantasy VI is one of my all-time favorites. I just love how she's written. She's probably, I think she's one of the most interesting characters Final Fantasy's ever done.
Yeah.
And that's part and parcel to all the different scenes that she's involved in. Probably the opera scene is one of the most recognizable, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the most famous, because that really pushed the Super Nintendo to what it can do. But the one that always sticks out to me is at the start of the second act, after Kefka wins and Avengers Infinity War ends, and then Endgame starts. As we discovered as we discovered in Favorite Characters, Endgame just ripped off Final Fantasy VI.
It's true.
Yeah.
So anyways, after the Avengers get smoked, Celeste wakes up 1 year later on an island with her uncle Sid. It's just those two. No one else is around. The place is affectionately referred to as Solitary Island.
I
get it.
Makes sense.
So, how do I go about this?
Just rip the Band-Aid off, dude. Just rip the Band-Aid off. It's probably
so.
better.
Anyways, yeah, she wakes up and then her uncle Sid's been taking care of her, and Sid is starting to get sick. So Celeste goes out to get some fish for them to have for dinner, and when she comes back, Sid has passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Given the situation, like, Celeste, she doesn't have anyone left. She presumes all of her teammates are also dead. She doesn't know any better. It's just her and Sid on that island. So she goes north to this large cliff, and she jumps. And honestly, that was a very hard scene to watch. I went into Final Fantasy VI knowing about this scene, but I knew about it without context, without any knowledge of who Celeste is or why this scene is as important as it is, and completely not expecting to get attached to her as a character. And just seeing that was very difficult, especially in 1994 times, where stuff like that wasn't really portrayed in video games. And even now it's
not
very
often.
seldom done. Yeah. And it's just like, say what you will about Ted Woosley's translation, I think that part is done very well. That part's done very well.
Yeah.
I don't know what the original Japanese was like, but I imagine it's very close to what Woosley had translated it as.
Yeah, there was nothing in that part of the game that felt like it took away from the moment or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
no silly Star Wars references. It's just like a very play it straight moment.
And very somber and poignant.
Mm-hmm. And also, something else I love about the scene is that Celeste's theme plays in the background there, and her theme is actually I don't know the music word. It's not a remix, but like
a reprise.
A reprise.
A leitmotif.
Leitmotif. That's the one.
There we go.
a
Got it.
leitmotif of the music that played in the background during her scene in the opera, which I think that's just such a nice attention to detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobuo Uematsu, master of his craft.
Actual Giga Chad.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: the scene ends, she survives, and a seagull. She washes up on the beach, and a seagull lands next to her. With the seagull is wearing Locke's bandana, so that kind of like renews her hope, and she's like, "Okay, maybe they're still out there." Yes, Ethan.
I
Yeah,
just like
what's up,
in
Ethan?
my head. I just like to think that fucking seagull just nicked this fucker's
Just, like,
bandana and then
poking at her.
literally, just fucking flew over to her. It was like, look, bitch, look at this bandana I've got. This is pretty cool, huh? Just flexing his bandana. Doesn't even know. Like, there's no relevance to him. He's just like, yo, look at my bandana. What's that? You've been through a sad situation. Look at my bandana, and then flies away. She's not waking up. No respect for my bandana. I'm gonna find someone else that will give a fuck. like flies away. Sorry, don't mean to
Damn
make
it,
light
Ethan.
of the situation, but so what you're saying is the real hero of Final Fantasy VI is that seagull.
Yes.
That's pretty
Potentially.
epic.
Seagull's a Giga
Actually,
Chad.
that whole sequence is completely optional, by the way. You can not
It is, yeah.
have it happen because whether or not Sid lives is dependent on if the fish you catch is good, but you don't know that unless you check in the inventory, which you won't really be thinking to do.
Wait,
Yeah.
so if the fish is good, he dies, or if the fish is good,
If
he
the
lives?
fish is
bad, he
bad, he
dies.
dies.
No, well, should have caught better for Cal.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
Sam
man,
didn't get that scene.
it's
One, because he didn't play the game, but two, if he did get to that point, he'd fish so good.
It's better for the storytelling.
Yeah.
If Sid dies, it's
No, I think so as well. Yeah.
the him surviving, Celeste leaving is just awkward and weird. She like makes a raft and is like, "Peace out."
I'm leaving you on the island.
Oh wait, he leaves. Wait, what?
Yeah. He leaves him on the island.
Do they ever see
He
it?
gets-
Does he
gets
come back at
screwed
the
up.
end for like his
No.
Like her...
You might be able to go back and chat with him like after you get the airship or whatever, but you know, I didn't get that.
You don't have a reason to go back there.
Yeah. So.
Oh, it's even worse then. So she's just a dick and says, "Peace, I'm out. Enjoy your island. Hope you know how to
Enjoy
catch
your island."
fish."
I'm gonna go kill God now.
Yeah, and then not come back for
BRB.
you. Bye. Wow. Damn. Learn something new about Final Fantasy VI every day.
Dude, it's a
Yeah.
great game. If it wasn't old, I'd recommend it to you.
Don't worry, it's too. Yeah, don't worry. I've played enough JRPGs.
Don't
One
worry,
was too many.
They'll remake it someday.
Well, they know.
God willing.
Hopefully without multiple parts.
Please remake it like Octopath. Do what you're doing with Dragon Quest III Remake, please.
Okay, right. I'm gonna go next, and then I'll force Hunter to go last before Persona because I don't want to go twice in a row, even though I forced Hunter to go twice in a row earlier.
Yeah.
This is Ethan's podcast. We're just living in it.
It's true. Like and subscribe.
I just work here.
Yep. He's a temp. Ignore him. He's replaceable. Someone please take that out of context in like a year or two and just tweet it at me. That'd be funny. Anyway, if Hunter ever leaves, that's the section that you clip. It was not amicable. Look at them. Look at what he said. Anyway,
Man.
nah. Let's talk about the time Ethan cried like a bitch at Xenoblade 2. Let's talk about that one, shall we? Woo!
Woo.
As I like to say, I don't know why I'm sitting here. I'm like sitting here with like my chalky milk or whatever. It's not. It's just like water. But you know, I'm just sitting here, big chilling, holding my glass in my hand as I. There you go. Grab your beverages, everybody. It's drink time. Hydration station achieved. But no. Xenoblade will always hold a special place in my heart because it walks a line that no game has ever walked in my mind, which is its performances being so ridiculous that I have died of laughing, but have also been so moving that it's brought me to tears. It's like most of the time I'm like, oh, it's a funny moment done by good actors, and oh, you brought me to tears, or this is so fucking stupid. The acting is so like awkwardly terrible, and then nothing comes of it emotionally because of it. It crosses such a weird barrier to me, where
Yeah. Just
you
such an
know
uncanny valley.
it is. It's very weird, and it's like I don't think any game will ever replicate it again. I feel like Xenoblade 3 has a shot with what I've heard so far, but also it might not, and I'm expecting it not to, because at the same time, one did nothing for me personally. But yeah, when it reached the end of Xenoblade 2, I just cried like a bitch, to be honest, because of the performances. It's solely because of the performances. It's not there's no like I remember when my friends sacrificed themselves for us to get away. And it's a very it happens all the
I
time in
remember
my
when
life.
I escaped a collapsing metal
You're
tree.
next, Hunter. That's how you're leaving.
Yeah, I give my life for the two of you to survive and keep making the podcast because I'm the only one who can do it.
Oh
Man.
oh dear. But no, Xenoblade 2 gets in both regards, in both endings, to that and Torna. Obviously, Hunter, you have not played Torna, so I won't go too much into Torna. But again, it's kind of like the Red Dead situation. You know where it's going. So
Yeah, Torna's just a slow-moving train wreck.
it is. It's watching a car crash in slow motion, basically, for 20 hours.
Yeah.
Just inching ever so closer. But yeah, Torna's a perfect example of something where you know where something's going to happen, but it still hits you regardless. And I think it's especially because, again, it's to do with Pirate/Mithra. You obviously know that something happened with Torna and why Mithra became Pyra. But you just hear about it and you're like, oh yeah, something terrible happened, whatever. Something terrible happened and she was scarred from it, whatever. I'm sure it wasn't that bad. And then when you see it, and again, without spoiling anything, that it's not just solely Torna being destroyed that is the factor to her that really gets it, is very emotionally moving. And it's like, oh damn, okay, I see why this is now, and I feel a lot, again, a lot more empathy towards her now that I know what's happening with that. And then again, second thing is to do with Pyra/Mithra. I feel like Pyra/Mithra have such an interesting arc, which is completely obliterated due to her appearance and how they didn't change her character design in the Western release, because people will always just see her as what her character model is and then go JRPG cringe like every time they see her. But the fact that she goes on this kind of journey where at the start of it, to be frank, again talking about suicide in a lot of ways, her mission was kind of suicidal. It was I'm going to get to the top of the world tree to find a way to kill myself, is basically the way that she's going about it. Is she wants to get answers for what the world is and what the creator's deal is, and kill herself is basically her goal. And it's her meeting these friends, finding a reason to live that she goes through to the point where she's willing to sacrifice herself just to get her friends out of there, is the kind of reasoning that is just like, again, it's just a very emotional, like resonating journey. And it's like, yeah, damn. And also there's still a part of me that is like, hey, I think the post credits bringing them back, I'm almost like, we'll see if it impacts Xenoblade 3 in any way, shape, or form, which I'm hoping it does, because my reasoning for it is, if it doesn't, I'm almost like, I wish it didn't. I wish they didn't do that.
I don't know. At the end there, when they did bring him back, I was like, normally I would hate this kind of thing. I prefer for people who die to stay dead.
Yeah.
But this case, I'm like, you know what? I'll let it go.
I'll let it go.
Earned that one. Feels good, man.
Yeah, I do like it quite a bit. It's just, I don't know. It's ever since they dug into the files and they figured out what she potentially was going to say in that mid-line, that I personally prefer. It's like the Last of Us situation, right? A lot of people did not want a part 2 to the Last of Us because they didn't want to. They wanted it to end on that scene, and that's it. Don't know what happens. Did Ellie believe Joel? Did Ellie, doubt him? Did she know that Joel was deceiving her? All of these kinds of questions. People like it left on that note of, okay, stop, right? No, don't go any further. A lot of them are very angry that they did, right? In the same way, I'm like that, where I'm like, the reason that I think that scene works and I like it so much is because you don't know what's happening there. And the fact that people are very adamant that because in the code it was implied that she has no recollection of her memories, that now people all of a sudden are like, that's the canon. And I'm like, no, they haven't. It's not in the fucking game. It's not
in the game. For all we know, she said, I'm gonna morb.
Yeah, I hope she did. I hope she fucking did. I hope she did say, I'm gonna morb, dude. That's epic.
I remember seeing a video where they put "Don't forget me" over what Myth was saying, and it matches up perfectly.
No, definitely, but yeah, it's just like that's the main reason that I hate that. I'm like, I don't. In my head, I just want it to be okay. They're back, full stop. None of this. Oh, they're back, but then it's like it also just feels kind of pointless to me because it's like knowing everything that's happened. Like Rex and Pyro will still end up together. Whatever, move on. It's still gonna happen the exact same way regardless. So why bring memory loss into it? So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But no, that did just hit me. Also, it's the whole Poppy thing as well. Just like,
oh my god,
laying it into the ground, basically being like, hey, there might come there may come a day where can you keep a promise? There may be a day where she basically knew that she was probably gonna have to kill herself. So she was like, you can't help. Like, you made a promise. You've got to watch me. You basically got to watch me die. And it's like, that's just kind of heartbreaking, especially for hope Poppy's still alive. We'll find out in a month. We're like a month away. Month and a half away.
July cannot come soon enough.
I can't wait for my disappointment to be immeasurable when I'm like, not enough Xenoblade 2 references. What the fuck?
I can't wait to finally pre-order the special edition.
Dude, same. I'll be ordering mine when the game's out.
After the game comes out.
Exactly. Splatoon 3 will be out by the time European pre-orders go live. But oh well, I digress. That game will always hold a special place in my heart. And yeah,
it's a very good video game.
I love you and all you guys. What a line as well. Full of incredible performances.
And speaking of scenes that can make you cry and laugh,
oh dude, literally. Like
I had to pause the game because I was laughing so much.
Same. I remember I had to pause because I was crying with laughter. There were tears from my eyes.
I do love that I've had to do that for both Xenoblade games now, Xenoblade 1 and 2.
When did you do that in 1?
So in Xenoblade 1 on Prison Island, after Shulk gets the upgraded Monado, right after that, Zanza says to him, "Good, now you feel it." And Smash Bros fucking ruined that for me.
Oh, because
so I'm like really feeling it.
Nah, fair enough.
Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
I'm really
Hunter.
feeling it.
Where are we going before we end on Persona? Where are we going?
All right, I'm going to bring the mood back up just a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The final 2 story chapters in Celeste are really well executed. It's some of my favorite storytelling in games so far. Essentially, like from the confrontation that Madeline has with the other side of her, at the end of the chapter to the final climb up the mountain is this really well executed form of catharsis. The boss battle itself is really good. The music does a lot of the heavy lifting in both of these instances, with the main melody of that song sounds kind of like the chirps that the characters make when they talk. So it's almost like she's having this argument with her other side.
Yeah.
And the way that the boss is designed is really cool because it's one of those ones where it seems if you kind of stop and try to go piece by piece and dodge everything that's happening to you, you'll probably get overwhelmed. But if you just rush to it, if you just keep trying to do the thing, it'll probably work out eventually. I think it's a really good way to, the theme of self-betterment that the game goes for. I think is a really good illustration of that.
I think the whole of Celeste is just a very good kind of, I don't know, it's a real good kind of artistic representation of mental health. And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is it's kind of try again. Doesn't matter how punishing it is, just try is kind of such a good kind of just kind of comparison to how it is in real life, right? Is it doesn't matter how small the obstacle is, it can be hard, but just try again, you know? And that there's no real harm in trying. That's the thing, is most games punish you. They say no, bad, go back 5 minutes, you fucked up. Whereas Celeste is very much a you same
just
screen,
at the
try
start of the
again, 3
screen.
seconds.
It's a
yeah.
hard game, but it's like the nicest game about being hard that you'll ever play.
But also it's got so many accessibility options as well that anyone could
Yeah.
beat that if they wanted to. It's like the game is very much like if this is too challenging, crank down the difficulty a bit. It's like you're only going to lose so much progress. Like keep trying. It doesn't matter what hurdles you hit, you can overcome them. And again, those final chapters really do hit you, you know? And it's like, I don't know, there's so many kind
like,
of parts of that
the
game
final
really
one
resonate.
after she makes peace with her other side and she's functioning at like maximum capacity, the final level is essentially like a victory lap because you're going back up through the mountain quicker than you did before. And the music again is really good because Reach for the Summit is like the first thing that you hear after, besides like the ambient noise when the bridge collapses in like the prologue level or whatever. That's what kicks up while the bridge is collapsing. And, you know, she does the dash and then she has to like catch her breath because it was a stressful moment. And then it's the soundtrack for you just destroying that mountain. And it's amazing. Real good. Feels great. Lena Raine is a genius.
Yeah, no, I appreciate Celeste a lot. It's one of those games where I played through it the one time and I was like, that was good. I played through it twice, I guess now, but I played through it 100% one time and I'm like, that's great and I love it. But man, is it hard. And then there are some people that just like play it over and over and over again. And like that's like it's one of those really like addictive games to play, and I'm really glad that it resonated with the audience that it did, because it's a really great game. And again, I mean, what it even did for the developer, never mind everybody else, right? It was like it helped the developer to come to terms with himself as well, never mind everybody else that it's helped come to terms with who they want to be and what they want to be in the world. So nothing but positivity out of a game that's solely out of mental health issues. It's quite great, really.
It is great.
But no, big up to Celeste. It's very good. There's plenty of games that we could talk about. There's so many games that have emotionally impacted me. I could talk about this all day, dude. You know, I could bring up Life is Strange. I could bring up Life is Strange. I could bring up like even Nier. How Nier just made. I didn't like Nier as much because it was too close to home. You know.
If I was going to focus solely on like, if I would have been like, all right, sad boy hours the whole time, Nier would have came up. You know, I want to diversify my.
Dude, yeah, I could talk about millions of games. I could talk about how Last of Us Part 2 had me going from back and forward to hating the shit out of Abby to going, hang on, I'm on her side now. What the fuck's happened? Where's this come from? Like, I feel like that game's brilliant in. Already, if anyone's made it this far into the podcast, I feel like they're okay with Last of Us Part 2. I don't think Last of Us 2 haters get this far into podcasts.
Unless it's about hating The Last of Us 2.
Yeah. If they have constructive criticism, that's fair enough. I mean, just adamant haters don't get it this far. That's what I mean by that. That game has problems. Don't get me wrong, but you know, it's just like the way the way that game manages to have you feel sympathy for the character that you feel like at the start that you would never have sympathy for whatsoever, and have that whole story arc of basically being like everybody's the hero in their own story, and it's like it's just where you come from. Your hero's done shitty things to this person that you consider the villain. You know, it's like just two sides of the same coin. You know, so it's like honestly, there's so many games. Life is Strange is a baby. Like Jesus Christ, that game really got to me.
Dude, especially that last one.
Before the Storm got me, dude. Like that was the one that always got me. True Colors was great as well. God, so many games. Could talk about literally them forever. But no, let's end, because obviously we started it talking about Billy Commits. Let's end with Persona, because I feel like we all talked about Persona. Well, this is just in general, whether it's 3, 4, or 5, all right, guys? Because there's no 1 or 2.
Yeah.
That was a joke. It's just, I don't think, have any of us played 1 or 2?
No.
No.
Because they don't make them available in a decent way, so we'll never will.
Yeah, if they ever
Ethan,
do
you
make them
own a
available,
PlayStation Classic.
It's
You
not a
can
decent way
play
to play it.
Revelation.
Yeah, but it's not a decent way to play
yeah,
it.
he said decent way, Kyle. Read the fine print.
Yeah, the PlayStation Classic is not a decent way to play any video game ever.
There's no analog stick on that controller.
Yeah, and the emulation's not that good either. I think it's all PAL versions as well, so it's like lose.
Oof.
Anyway.
They didn't even put Crash 2 on there.
No, they did not. Feels bad. I'm not sure if
What's
that
it
was the
good
fastest
for?
way to play Crash 2. It was on the
That'd be
PlayStation
hilarious.
Classic. No. I'll not allow it. But no. I know there's a load of different moments in the Persona franchise. I guess let's start. I want to start with this. Full spoilers, by the way. Spoilers for at least Persona 5, probably Persona 4. Me and Hunter haven't played Persona 3, so we can't really talk too much about that because we don't want too many spoilers. Kyle, I know you have one.
Guys, please play it.
We will. One day.
Yeah.
Let me get out of the Persona 25th announcement season. Once October hits and we know that Persona 3 is definitely not being ported to something competent, then I'll play it. When I know that that's my only resort, Kyle, then I'll play it. I promise.
Okay.
But now, let's start with Billy, because like that's one, like his performance in that game. God, I'm gonna cry so hard when I play Royal for the next time I play that.
Dude, the entire character arc of Maruki is gonna hit so much differently just because of that.
Genuinely, it genuinely. It's hard. It fucking sucks. That's the only way you can say it. It fucking sucks, right? It genuinely does, because I always hear, right? You always hear when celebrities die or famous people that have had performances die, and you hear how they impact other people, where they've had these people that have gone, and you're like, oh, that sucks. And it's like, the first one for me that probably hit me was Chadwick Boseman dying. When Chadwick Boseman passed, that I was like, that fucking sucks. But at the same time, I really enjoyed Black Panther, but I didn't love it as much as everybody else. So I felt it, and I truly did. But also, I know that Black Panther resonated with so many fucking people that weren't me, that it's like, I know that I couldn't even imagine how those people felt in that situation compared to myself. Whereas Billy's fucking... It's like, I'm now in that position, because Billy's performance genuinely did fucking move me to a point where I saw someone, because I've only seen the cutscenes that I've seen in Royal. I still, to this day, have not seen the others. But I did see someone earlier post one of the other endings to Royal, one of the bad endings, of Maruki walking into the sunset. He's like walking off as everybody's happy. And that literally...
Oh, man.
Yeah, that like kind of that would, it's like, it's one of those things where like, I don't know if I could ever like genuinely go for that ending, because I feel like I genuinely would break down and cry, because it, like you said, Hunter, it's such a performance, it's such a great performance, and it's such a great character journey, and it just hits far too close to home. Again, story about mental health, right? I feel like a lot of people relate to mental health issues, as unfortunate as that is. I feel like, especially in today's kind of era, it's something that hits close to home. So it's like having that perfect world and kind of sacrificing yourself to get it, and just that whole Royal arc to me is like my favorite thing in anything ever, really. And it's like, I do absolutely adore it, and a lot of that is on Billy, and it's like,
the whole third semester of Persona was like top tier video game storytelling.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm super grateful for the performance he gave, and that we have that, because it's like, it sucks. Like it sucks, and you can sit, and we can all sit, and trust me, we will continue to think and sit on the what could have been, right? All these other things that he could have done, all these other performances. But the fact that I'm speaking for myself, the fact that I got a performance like that I resonated with so hard, and that impacted on me so badly, like he made such an impact in that one role, that most fucking performances could dream of, right? Is like, I'm so grateful to have had that and to have that and to continue to have that. There won't be a time where I
Yeah.
don't think of Billy when I play Persona 5 Royal now. And that's not a bad thing. It's not
Yeah.
going to ruin it's not going to make me just feel sad. It's not going to, it's going to hurt, but also it's going to make me respect and kind of
remember what he left behind.
I'm just gonna, whenever I think of Maruki now, I'm gonna feel about how shit this situation is and how much it sucks that he's gone and how he's gone way too soon, but I'm also just gonna be grateful that he was here and that we have this, and that
it's
always
going
gonna mean something to me. It's always gonna mean something to me, and I'm never gonna forget him or what he did or his performance, because it's linked to it's one of the things that makes my favorite game of all time so special. Like, that's what it is, right? And it's so great. But regardless of that, I feel like Persona as a franchise has impacted all of us in one way, shape, or form when it's not that, right? Like, we had that real deep conversation. Was that season 3 a couple of weeks ago? I feel like that. Was that season 3 or was that season 2 where the last 20 minutes was just me getting really depressed on the podcast and everyone just sitting
That was
there?
also about a month ago.
Also
for
favorite
the great
characters.
Was that favorite characters? Okay, it was favorite.
Yeah.
I thought it was this season. I was sure. So if you want more of that, you can go in there. But it's like, this is just it's just another fucking emotional thing to add to a game that already makes me very emotional. Whether it's the whole Anne storyline with her friend, again with the attempted suicide, right? It's like, I had a friend from primary school that I didn't really keep up with that much, but he passed away as like 4 years after I left that school, and it was one of those things where I didn't really speak to him again after it, and it's like full of regrets and stuff like that, just kind of, so it's like bonding with them in that way. Just all the whole story, dude, like everything. There's so many parts of it. And I know, Kyle, you've got Persona 3. Did you want us to take our ears out while you just scream what it is for the edit?
There's what I love about Persona 3 is that you don't have social links with all your party members. Like I've said before, it's just the female party members, at least in FES. I don't know if Portable's different. But
Portable, they added them for FemC, but they didn't add them for regular, I think.
Classic.
So I think for FemC, you get the opposite. So you get only male social links, I believe, for FemC. If only they made a definitive edition where they added both social links to both characters in a remastered package.
With party control.
With party control.
It's almost as if a good game would be made that would make loads of money. Hey, Atlas.
Money.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Strangle.
Pretty please.
But
anyway.
No. So because all your party members don't have social links, it's not like 4 and 5 where you get them to rank 10 and then they get their evolved personas. It's rather their personas just evolve through their natural story progression. And I just think that's such a good. I think that's the way to do it, because I don't it feels wrong, just getting Yosuke or Ryuji up to level 10 immediately and then giving them their super persona. Because the game doesn't stop you from doing that. The game doesn't gate you off from that.
Yeah. Except for, and then
it also feels,
it feels arbitrary and real, though, because it's all in the span of 1 week. It's like everyone decided to fucking grow up in the span of a week. They're all like, okay, I'm ready to evolve again. And it's like, one criticism of Royal is, why is all the extra content for all the bonus social link just one encounter of, I'm gonna grow big boy now, and then hey, there we go, evolve everybody at the same week.
I'm sorry, I was living in Fantasyland for a little while.
That's literally everyone just going, sorry about that.
It's the same conversation 8 times.
Yeah,
and it's not voiced.
At least you get to hear that song again, though.
It is a great song. But no, Persona 3.
But that's just what I love about P3. All of their persona evolutions feel earned, especially with characters like Yukari and Akihiko. Those are the two that really it's their evolution scenes that really won me over on them as characters. I'm deliberately being vague.
Yeah.
But they're done very well. and they're all very poignant to their stories.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we got to give a shout out to, I know Persona 3 definitely has, but I also know Persona 4 and 5 also have, well, I think it's just a Persona tradition at the moment to have endings that very emotionally impact you, whether you like it or not, whether it is, the goodbye train scene in Persona 4 that made many people cry. It made me feel, I nearly cried. I nearly cried. It nearly got me. It didn't get me because there was another scene afterwards. If they had started playing the credits music then, that would have got me. If that was the end, that would have got me.
I'm just thinking about how your experience with P4 would have been if you could play just the PS2 version instead of Golden.
Same, to be honest.
Because PS2 doesn't have that epilogue.
Yeah, it also doesn't make it as obvious who the villain is. Which, hey, it wouldn't have changed my opinion on them, but it wouldn't have been as obvious, hopefully, in my mind. Who knows? But then obviously Persona 5 has, again, that bittersweet moment, which at the end, which with both of them, the first one making me feel like it was saying goodbye to a bunch of people that are going on, and then Royal taking it one step further and making you feel like everybody's moving on and going away from each other, and you don't know if anyone will see each other. And then I still want to give a special shout out. I haven't said this since the Royal Spoiler Cast, so I feel like I can now. I want to give a special fuck you to Atlas for that final Kasumi send off where she's just like, bye, walks away.
That was like the one, dude. Come on now.
I get it that the police were still watching them, and you couldn't, and by that logic, they couldn't really.
But why didn't we get to talk to her
on the final day?
The day before. That would have made me. That would have been enough.
Right? She's not there, and then all you get is a "see ya, bye, bye, monkey" as they wave off.
Bye, monkey.
A note that says, "I will not be in Persona 5 Strikers."
There will be a different redhead.
Enjoy the other redhead.
Yeah.
Humanity's companion.
I do like Sophie though.
Yeah, Sophie's great.
Yeah, she's fun.
She is good. But no, man. What? Yeah, but no. Like we said, obviously it's a very emotional franchise. That's the main reason that I want Persona 6 more than anything. It's just because I want to fucking feel sad at the end. That's what I'm waiting for. You know, that's like it's like some people play games like horror games for that rush of adrenaline. I play Persona for that rush of depression, dude. That's what I play Persona for. Is that rush of feels bad at the end.
Well, hey, dude, P3 is a game all about depression.
Yeah, but it's also old and janky. Am I right, guys? If only Atlas would may make it.
He's got a point.
But no, I will play it one day. Like I say, wait till October when all of our hopes are crushed and Persona 6 isn't even announced. And then
he's going to play Soul Hackers to cope.
But October's so far away.
I know, right? We'll live. We've got so many games to look forward to, like
Roller Drome. Pew pew.
Sorry, my upcoming games list is just a fucking white page. What happened there? What? Just says 2022 lol.
Oh man.
Who knows what happened there? But anyway, I feel like we'll end it on there because we're basically at 2 hours, so you know. Remember when this podcast used to be 1 hour? Wow, those were the days.
Yeah.
But
what a time to be alive.
The thing is I also feel like this is the first topic where usually when we do a 2-hour episode over these kinds of topics, I feel like we've exhausted the well usually. Whereas it's now, I'm like with this one, I'm like, I feel like there's stuff that we haven't talked about that we could easily talk about more stuff and bring stuff up, dig deeper. So if you liked this, hey, maybe we'll do it again at some point in the future. And hey, if you've got any other topics, you can let us know on the socials or at hotgamesonly@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you as we try and get through 2022 with weekly episodes. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Or who knows, maybe you might have this episode late if Xbox has really pulled out a banger, but I doubt it. We'll find out. Maybe I was wrong.
I was going to say,
probably not.
maybe if Xbox pulls out a banger, we could just like record like a mini episode.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a mini episode. Why are we talking about this on the podcast when he's like, "Oh, this is interesting."
We're about to end the show. We can just
It's really interesting.
stay
for them
on
to
the call,
talk.
guys.
Yeah, it's really interesting for them to talk about the what ifs of the behind the scenes on the podcast that didn't happen. Ooh, wow. That's like, we'll get to it.
That
now.
either didn't happen or the thing that they already watched.
Yeah, the thing that they already watched 2 hours of. But hey, you know, that's what we do here at the HGO podcast, is we ramble until the podcast ends abruptly.
If it didn't happen, now they know why.
Oh, Cal's webcam's just froze for a second, but it's back. Hey, it's fine. We're good though. Anyway, links are on screen right now. You can go and follow us on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with everything that we do outside of the podcast. You know, we tweet from time to time. It's cool. You can hit us a follow. Kyle mainly tweets about... I don't even know what you tweet about, Kyle. You just tweet about a load of stuff and like art. I know Hunter just tweets whenever Transistor's on sale. That's basically all he tweets.
I sure do. Transistor. Play it, heathens.
The other day, I retweeted a capybara named Steve.
There you go.
I saw that and I was like, hey, Steve. Steve
But
looks
hey,
like a good lad.
But hey, if you don't want capybara
I would pet
updates,
Steve.
that's cool. You can go and follow us on our regular Twitter.
No, it
at
isn't.
Hot
You
Gamers
should want
Only.
that.
Or subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/hotgamers.only. And hey, if you don't want to look at our stupid faces, you can head to your link in the description on the link tree, or search for Hot Gamers Only on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast service. We're on it. Just search for us. Hot Gamers Only. We'll be there. Hopefully. But yeah, with that, that's been our show. Thank you ever so much for joining us on this roller coaster of an episode. Who knows what next week holds? I have no clue. Maybe there'll have been a Nintendo Direct to talk about. Who knows? Maybe
Wouldn't
that
be
happen.
swell?
Wouldn't that be swell? It won't
maybe.
happen. But
Come on, Nintendo. We need content, please.
you know, it's bad when I don't even care about the games that are being released. I'm just looking at them and going, not content, not content. Ooh, content. But alas, it's all good. But no, we'll be back regardless, same time, the same place next week. But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.